Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Kirk Talk. Now that Halloween is ever approaching, I thought it would be good to post some more videos about some Halloween type things. Now, in the last episode I talked about Dark Souls and what the series means to me, so I figured, hey, why not keep the train rolling with some more scary video games. Now, the next couple of videos that I'm going to put out are going to have to deal with one of my personal favorite video game systems, the Nintendo GameCube. Now, the Nintendo GameCube, when compared to the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, is considered the least successful of the three. And financially, yes, I do believe that to be true. But that being said, the GameCube certainly had an incredible library of games that are still classics even to this day. So I feel like the legacy of the GameCube lived longer than its actual shelf life. So the first game that I'm going to talk about is I think one of the first games that some people have played with the Nintendo GameCube, and it is Luigi's Mansion. One of the very few Nintendo games at the time to actually star Luigi over his big brother Mario. Fun fact about this game, when I was a little kid, I was actually really scared of this game, because I was I must have been like 7 or 6 or something like that. And I remember the first time I ever played it was at my cousin Jessica's house. And she was like, hey Kirk, I got this new Mario game. And I was like, what? Mario game? That sounds awesome. So I start playing it, and you open up and you play as Luigi and you start like going through the haunted house. And I was legitimately scared. Now, I didn't actually beat the game till I was a junior in college. So that shows like how long it took me to get over my fear of ghosts. That being said, I think Luigi's Mansion is a fantastic game. It's fun, it has a lot of personality, and having Luigi as the main character, I feel, is a real upgrade from Mario, because I always felt Luigi had more personality than Mario ever does, right? One thing that I would like to note about the gameplay of Luigi's Mansion was how you used the vacuum cleaner to suck up the ghosts, kind of like a reverse Ghostbuster. I don't know, I always thought that was like a really neat idea, and how you had to use like the flashlight to snare the ghost, and then you could start sucking it up. And Luigi's Mansion had a lot of really cool bosses too that would eventually be like smushed down and turned into paintings. So there would be like this art gallery of all the ghosts you've collected over the game. And I just thought that was really, really cool. Now, another Nintendo GameCube exclusive that is also fairly popular and surprisingly very hard to find these days is a little horror title called Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Now, Eternal Darkness is a phenomenal game. It's made by Silicon Knights, when Silicon Knights still existed, and had similar gameplay to Silent Hill or the classic Resident Evil games before 4 became the staple. What I remember about that game was the atmosphere. I always felt like scared of like to open a door, turn around a corner, because I didn't know what was going to be there. And I always remember like I was always freaked out because like a lot of the characters end up dying. But it was important for the plot, which you had to get to the end. So I would play like, an hour as a character, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna make it. And then, he dies tragically, and it's just like, why though? It's like Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones existed. But Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, the only bad thing I would have to say about it is it never got a sequel. Now, I saw that on Kickstarter there was or there is going to be some kind of like spiritual successor, but I'm not really sure how well that's going to go out. Because, Kickstarter is so great with all of their video game projects. One thing I will also note about Eternal Darkness that a lot of people have talked about when they have mentioned this game would be its Sanity Meter. So there were 3 meters in the game. A red one for health, a blue one for magic, and then a green one, which was your sanity. And as the sanity bar went down, you started experiencing like different effects, like the screen would cut out, or the TV would mute, or your head would explode, or something crazy like that. I will note that I was playing this game a couple years ago with my friends in college, and we tried to save the game, but the sanity meter was so low that it said deleting file, and I freaked out on my roommate. And I was like, what are you doing? You just ruined the game we found all this time. And I freaked out. And then 2 seconds later, it was like, oh God, how is this happening? Because the game was like back to normal. And I actually felt bad. I was like, in all my years of playing this game, you got me. So that being said, if you can find a copy of Eternal Darkness, I definitely recommend picking it up and giving it a play. Just for the story, too, because it follows the Cthulhu mythos, or like that kind of like H.P. Lovecraftian horror deal. And it's very entertaining. The style is really great, and the story is phenomenal. If there was like a mini-series or like a book series, I would definitely be interested in reading up on Eternal Darkness. Now, the last game that I'm going to talk about, for at least for this video, is a game that's actually not very well known. Kind of surprised me a little bit that not a lot of people know about this game. And this was also another one for the GameCube called Geist. Now, Geist is a first-person shooter, but the twist of it is it's not just a shooter. So the plot is you play as a guy, and he gets his soul sucked out by an evil corporation. So you become a Geist. You become a ghost. So what you can do is you can like possess objects and like blow up or like move them over or what have you. And what you can do, if someone becomes afraid, you can actually possess people and they become your new host. The gameplay was really interesting, just because of like you could like switch bodies, and during certain boss fights you'd have to like go between multiple people, and like then you have to like get your body back, and then you have to fight like these demons at the end. And it's a very very interesting game, just for the gameplay of like being able to go in people and then come back out and be like, oh god, I'm a ghost or whatever. Another thing too that I will note is that I've just never seen a game like it. I was really surprised that not a lot of people know about it. Because even for like the first-person shooter mechanics, when you're not a ghost, if you're like possessing someone's body, or in the beginning when you start with your body, then the gameplay is also very smooth, and it fits perfectly for the GameCube controller. You know, in my opinion, the GameCube is the most perfect controller; just fits in your hand so nicely. So having all these buttons and then the triggers here just made the game a very smooth experience. I'm not really certain how rare this game is. All I know is that people don't talk about it, or people don't know about it, and that really surprises me. So if you can find any of the games that I mentioned, they're definitely worth a look at. Although I think Luigi's Mansion would definitely be easier to find than probably these two. But that being said, this was an episode of Kirk Talk where I just talked about some of my favorite GameCube games based around Halloween and scares. And I appreciate all your time and patience, and I will see you guys in the next one.